So here we are in game number 2 of this best of 3. A little bit of ZVT coming up. Game 1 was the shortest of the evening, and it went to the Zerg player spawning in the top left position of Heavy Rain, HaNfy. His opponent down in the bottom right, the Red Terran, kauP. kauP has to bring it back now. His tournament line hangs in the balance. If he loses this, he's out. And there's no coming back. There's no second safety net. There's no second chance or third chance. It's just over. HaNfy, on the other hand, doesn't have a guaranteed spot in the quarterfinals, though. He has to face off against Goody in the decider game if he wants to join Patience in the quarterfinals. Game 1, we saw Goody open with 2 Reapers into 6 Hellions, trying to put on some pressure. HaNfy defended it beautifully. An amazing surround and just stopped it in its tracks. But then he went for the counter-offensive, suspecting the kauP may be going for that greedy third base play, using that harassment heavy build to hide it, and just went for a big baneling bust, and it worked really well. Won the game, and now we're here. kauP has already faced off against Goody, so if he does make it through, he's going to be looking to tie that up. It was a 2-1, whereas HaNfy has not yet had to contend with his opponent. But HaNfy already doing stuff a bit odd. He's got a gas very early into a pool. This leads to an incredibly early Zergling speed. It's even more aggressive of a build than we saw in game 1. Still different to normal though, not a hatch first, which you generally expect to see. So, even if this is just for speed, which it's going to be, drones are pulled off, could still be some kind of big speedling play. Gotta keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, kauP opening up with that Reaper, just as we saw in game number 1. Gonna get scouted by the Overlord as soon as it comes out. Just waiting there patiently. There we go. Second one queued up, so it is going to be those 2 Reapers. But remember, in game number 1, HaNfy had no difficulty dealing with them. He prevented it very well from doing any damage, picked off the Reaper early, and this game, he's got speed as well on its way, making him even stronger. These Lings, just patrolling around, they saw the Reaper moving about, so they're getting into a position where they can try and stop it. Trap that Reaper immediately. They didn't, one shot of fire went down, maybe, onto that Ling, but more importantly, it denied the scout. All kauP saw was the fact that there was a gas. Doesn't know that Zergling speed is nearly finished. This is going to be a very aggressive play, probably a speedling all-in. Already the drone count is very low. We've got a lot of Lings coming through. This second hatchery going to be pumping a lot of Zerglings now. And this is just ultra aggressive. 10 more Lings, definitely all in. Going to be very hard to transition off the back of this. But remember, wall off is down. SCVs can repair that for a long time. And there's the Reaper there. What this will guarantee is no natural base for kauP. This just can't go down, it's impossible. And also because he built the Reaper, he's got very little to defend with. Gonna go for the Hellions regardless. And it's quite interesting to see kauP trying to focus this. He's adding in a couple of drones, so not completely all in it. It's just a very aggressive play now. No bailing nest, so he can't actually break through that wall. But he's invested so much. 20 Lings is 10 lava, which is a significant investment early on. Couple of Hellions there. kauP continuing his CC production up in the high ground, so he is going to still get that. But kauP behind this now, pumping out a good number of drones, and because of the map control gained from these Lings, he can very comfortably sit here and deny a natural base while droning ridiculously heavily behind. What the concern's really going to be for kauP is whether there's a baneling nest. A baneling nest could cause some problems despite the wall off being down. That's why we're seeing him be cautious, not wanting to move out, and just waiting patiently. Over on HaNfy's side, taking the gas yet again, up to about 60 gas there. More drones coming through, he's taken a 10 drone lead. And he's just transitioning this out nicely. The Hellions trying to go out. Get scared away again though, as the multiple angle flank from those Zerglings threaten the surround. But now a retreat coming in from those Zerglings. They're backing on out and they're going to be playing it safe. Regardless though, kauP being a lot more cautious than he previously was. We've got Stim on the way through, as well as the starport nearly done. And these Hellions and Reapers are going to be looking to apply some pressure back. Spinecrawler on its way. We've also got the second gas plus the lair and the third and fourth gas coming through too, suggesting that it's likely to be a Spire very early on from the Zerg player. HaNfy needs that Spine, needs these Queens, and definitely needs the Lings in a good spot if he's going to hold this off. Whereas back home, I'm expecting to see the switch happen and then just some medevac production get started. And that'll lead into a very normal timing push at a kauP of those just like 2 medevacs and a handful of Marines with Stim coming in. With the double evolution chamber coming down, pretty much denies any further pressure coming from just the Hellions and Reapers alone, because the double Queen can wall this off completely and then you're safe. But what's still going to be a threat is whether or not the third base comes down, and it's unlikely to. And the reason it's a threat is if kauP sees this, kauP is going to know that, okay, what else is he doing? If he's not got a third base, what is happening? Where is money going? Where are the resources going? And even if he sees it coming down now, it's really late. The drone coming over, he knows, okay, so he's trying to take a third, but he's done something else. Was he put that far behind by getting those early speedlings out? And unfortunately for kauP, he may not actually know, and he's got no way of knowing confirmed exactly what's coming here. He's got very little information. Scan being used, and I think that's a really smart move, but the scan actually going down to push that creep. I have to say, kauP may want to spend a scan just seeing about gas timings and stuff if he doesn't think he can break through, but it looks like he's going to just go for it. The Lings cleaning up a lot of this relatively effectively. Quite a few units go down on both sides, but the Baning Nest also on track. We're going to drop down now up into the main, but the Lings well on top of that. And this is turning out to be a very interesting game. The Mutalisks are going to be coming soon, and for the moment, kauP has no idea. His first indicator is that the lair is finished, and he knows there's 2 gases. Doesn't know how early it was though, and it's going to be really hard for him to get a solid read on when that Spire came down, because it's hidden as well. In come the Hellions, with the 2 medevacs they can back away easily. Out come the Mutalisks though, so if they try and come back in, the medevacs will die, especially when we factor in that they've used boost. One Muta dies to a medevac worth of Marines there, and kauP doing a much better job this game. Loses the medevac, but has identified what's coming, adding in the double engineering base, wants the double upgrades but also the missile turrets. Got a fair few Marines, and now it's again up to HaNfy to try and make something work with this. It's an aggressive build. It's delayed his third significantly, and it's allowed kauP to actually take the economic lead for the majority of this game. But if these mutas can get some good damage down, it'll all be worth it. In they come, a missile turret trying to be produced. Bold play by these mutas, take down a medevac, which is a big hit. Getting workers is nice, but getting things like medevacs means that future pushes, at least in the immediate future, are a lot weaker. They're lacking that healing, and it also means that you cost your opponent some gas to replace it, and gas is a much more finite resource than minerals. Mutas still being quite active on the map. Note that there's 8 on the field, but no more are yet in production. But I suspect there will be some more coming through, because +1 air attack is on its way, and generally you're not going to be getting that out unless you're committing more heavily to the Mutalisks. Burrow, 1-1 upgrades, overlord speed, and also the third base, all on their way to being fully functional. And this is HaNfy getting into the mid-game flow very nicely. He's getting all of the things that he needs, all of the tools required to have a successful mid-game. And really his biggest issue has just been the lack of economy from this third, and in my opinion he hasn't done enough damage with the Mutalisks yet, picking off 1 medevac to justify that. So what he's going to have to do is make sure that the third base of kauP doesn't get down anytime soon and isn't able to be secured, because if it is, that kind of means that obviously HaNfy has to take a 4th earlier, which he's already doing, but he has to just keep trying to catch up. Picking off this refinery, great move. Always a smart play to start picking off refineries. It allows you to get an SCV as well while you're doing it. It also prevents some gas income from kauP, reducing things like his medevac count, reducing things like his mine count, and also just delaying upgrades. 1-1 done on both sides, but map control still sitting in the Zerg player's favour. Good number of lings out on the map. The +2 flyer attack also on its way. This is a big commitment to Mutalisks. HaNfy really wants these doing a lot of work for him. That's why we're seeing more of them come down. Droning also coming through heavily. However, kauP coming through the middle, but a beautiful burrow baneling hit pushes that right back home. Always on the money there with those burrow banelings. When they hit, they make you an ever so happy player. So, HaNfy now has less Marines to deal with, but he's having to contend with a drop. Mutas, Lings and Banelings though, quickly cleaning this up. And now going to be repositioned in order to try and defend against this push. Although as I said, this push a lot less scary after a really nice burrow baneling hit. Couple of Widow Mines in a good position. Banelings come crashing through, no splits immediately, but the Rock Tower knocked down just to prevent a big flood through. kauP pulling back. He's got his 3rd base up, but hasn't been able to deny the 4th of HaNfy. So HaNfy's going to be able to maintain a 1 base advantage after a couple of seconds. 2-2 melee upgrades and +2 flyer attack on its way out for the Zerg. Meanwhile, over on kauP's side, he's only got the 2-2 upgrades just starting now. That's not great for him, because he's starting to fall behind again in those upgrades, which means that trades will go better for HaNfy. Huge number of burrowed Zerglings here, and basically by getting these burrowed Zerglings, it just means that if kauP decides to move out and doesn't leave much of a defensive force, actually you can start looking to take out a lot of SCVs very quickly, especially with the 2-2 upgrades. HaNfy also on his way up into that infestation pit, mainly for Hive Tech, looking to get some ultras in later on. And also, if you get that through, you can start getting some infestors out, which are less commonly seen nowadays, but still a great decision. A couple of really good fungal growths can make an amazing difference to any engagement, specifically because the banelings can just move right in and get some amazing detonations off. So a little bit of pressure coming in towards the 5th base now of HaNfy. We've got kauP just with a handful of units, but banelings have got something to say about that, come tumbling through. That's very quickly cleaned up, maybe not as efficiently as it could have been. Bunker has been taken down while the 4th base of HaNfy struggling to stay alive. Only a handful of Marines attacking it, but it's going to be fairly close. The Zerglings should be able to save it, but it is a little bit close for comfort. Not really something that you want to have to contend with. Queen is over there. Did get 1 transfuse off, but still 400-ish HP is a very vulnerable location. And when you've got those kind of vulnerabilities, drop play, which HaNfy's already shown that he's quite good at defending, can actually just tip it over to being successful. Few Hellions pushing through, but more importantly, Mutalisks rampaging the main base of kauP. kauP has to be really careful now, because he's going to lose this main. That's pretty much guaranteed. I don't think the Marines are going to have any chance of getting back in time. A couple of SCVs were killed, but only 3 in total this game. However, we do have the Thor, or a few Thors. That splash damage against air, going to really help kauP defend against this continued muta aggression. But, over on HaNfy's side, Ultralisk Cavern on its way. He's got the Adrenal Glands upgrade, the 3-3 upgrades. And this is something that you very rarely see. For the most part, it's incredibly unusual to see a Zerg player go up to 3-3 before a Terran. And the reason for that is because a Terran player can do it with just the army. Once they've got 2-2 coming, they can get straight into 3-3. Whereas a Zerg has to go up to Hive. So by HaNfy getting 3-3 earlier, he's going to have some really nice trades, especially with some Ultralisks there and those Adrenal Glands. He's going to be looking to get in a comfortable late game spot. actually achieving that late game composition a lot earlier than what actually kauP's going to be doing. So we're ready to go now. And not much has changed, obviously, since it was a pause. Apart from kauP about to take his 4th base. Little interception here of a couple of Marines. The Muta's really paying off nicely. 6 have been killed so far this game, but overall the resources lost actually favouring HaNfy, which again is another good indicator that HaNfy has been doing a fantastic job of trades. Normally, kind of 9 games out of 10, a Terran player will lose less than a Zerg. It's just what happens. Same with Protoss. Zerg tend to lose a lot more. Anyway, double missile turrets coming down. Just wanting to be... Sorry, sense tower and missile turret coming down here. Just wanting to be alert to anywhere these Mutalisks could be. But yet again, they're coming into the main base. There is a Thor down in the 3rd, being lifted up by a medevac. Nicely done there. But still, not really going to be too successful with some good magic boxing from HaNfy, preventing the splash damage from being effective. 3 more Thors, looking to close it out though, will scare away that pack of Mutalisks. HaNfy going up to an insane number of Banelings. He's gonna be hitting close to like the 55 mark on Banelings. And the last time I saw this many Banelings was actually Liquid Snoot in WCS EU Challenger when I was casting him. And he did some crazy stuff there. He got out like 100 Banelings to win the game. And I fear that could be what HaNfy's looking for with a couple of Ultralisks in there as well. Mass ring of missile turrets trying to come through, but not going to be out quickly enough. Because the Mutas just destroy it all. Thors again having to come back. A couple of good volleys off, and with the Widow Minehead, actually quite a few Mutalisks are going to die. kauP still doing some good job. Just staying in this game, making sure that it's staying relatively level. And in all honesty, this is a very level game. Didn't notice this before, but HaNfy has the Rave Edition Ultralisks from the Collector's Pack. Always very cool. Everyone loves a bit of Rave Edition Ultras. HaNfy being very greedy, wanting all of the bases. Expanding to his opponent's 5th base. Making sure that he can't have it. +3, flyer attack also on its way. The Mutalisks looking pretty terrifying. The Baneling count up at 52 now. And we've got these Ultras in position as well. However, HaNfy has let that window where he's had 3-3 down slip him by. Nothing has been achieved with that yet. He's not got too much time to make it happen either, because +3 attack coming down and +3 armor for HaNfy, only about 30 seconds away from completion. So this means we're fully into the ultra late game. And it's actually not ultra late game, just the late game. Kind of ideal composition for HaNfy here. A couple of ultras, a lot of banelings and Mutalisks up against quite a Thor heavy composition here. And the Thors really are a nice option to have. They fare alright up against the Marauders, but they soak up the baneling hits phenomenally well. And they also deal with the Mutalisks amazingly. Maybe a couple of Marauders in here would be fantastic too, just to really help contend with the Ultras. But I'm not actually 100% sure if the Ultralisks have yet been seen by kauP to know that they're coming. May have done. Does have, obviously, Marauders coming out. Getting a concussive shell, which is completely futile against Ultralisks. They're massive, they can't be slowed. But still, nice against the Lynx and the Banelings. Little drop coming through. Definitely going to confirm the existence of the Ultras. And of course, if kauP was quick, would have seen the +3-1 upgrades done for the air. Fully upgraded, now on the ground as well with the 3-5 Ultras. And HaNfy just slowly enclosing his opponent in a wall of creep. The medevacs can be seen everywhere they go by all the creep tumors. A good amount of static defense, going to buy time while the Lings come streaming across. The Mutalisks flapping through the middle. And yeah, this is probably not going to be too successful, even though it went up into the lane anyway. Banelings come crashing through. And this Bane train is terrifying. However, good little win here from kauP. Manages to take out HaNfy's 6th base, or 6th or 7th, depending which way you want to number them, but loses the drop as well. So, yet again, if we take a look at the resources lost, HaNfy trading ridiculously cost effectively compared to his opponent. These links, not quite sure where they're going, but they're going to discover the Great Wall of Orbital Commands. That's not going to last too long though, especially with the mutas and the 3-3 upgrades. Widowmine Hib went off, killed a lot of the banelings. But yeah, not too much really going on. Rocks also going down. And this is just HaNfy clearing up every single potential route that he can utilize just to keep a lot of activity on the map. Lots of running through, trying to get damage done. Nice knockdown there of the Orbital Command, making things look good. And yeah, HaNfy is definitely in a solid commanding position. And I'm loving the fact that he's adding in the Greater Spire. The reason I love the Greater Spire is because some Broodlords really shut this down. Shut out a lot of the movement, just allow a siege from a distance, while the Thors can switch to high impact payload in order to try and pick off the Broodlords. That means the Mutalisks then aren't concerned with the Javelin missiles and the splash damage to air. So, HaNfy continuing on, just being very active in multiple places on the map, but not in a rush. Happy to just bide his time, let his bank turn into a trust fund, and happily sit there and go, well, I'm in no rush. My opponent's gonna mine out. I literally own all of the bases. I have all of the income. And so eventually I'm just gonna win. And little snipe-offs like a full medevac full of units just wear down that resources loss even more in favour of HaNfy. If HaNfy rushes in and takes a bad engagement where he loses all of his stuff, that could theoretically be disastrous for him because it will take him a while to resupply. But he's not rushing, he's just taking advantages where he can. May even get an Orbital Command here. Gotta be careful of the Thors. Splash damage to air, backs away though, safely. This command center will be repaired up. But look at the bank difference. HaNfy just hit 10,000 minerals and just shy of 6,000 gas. He can resupply on whatever he wants now. And if we take a look at the 92 lava he's got banked up, he really can resupply quickly. So I'm glad to see this push coming through now. Ultra aggressive play, a lot of SCVs die there. That was a slaughter. 35 go down, leaving only 26 on the field. A small drop has discovered HaNfy's cheeky little base down here to the lower left. But that's going to get shut out by these mutas. And Mutalisks with the +2 armor actually fare really quite well up against those Marines. The reason Marines at 3-3 are generally terrifying to mutas is because normally you won't see armor upgrades on Mutalisks in a ZVT. It's very rare. In comes some Corruptors now. These are going to be looking to become Broodlords. And now it's just up to HaNfy to cost effectively reduce his army supply. Just to free up supply for those Broodlords. A couple of mutas die there, but 2 Thors go down. So, nice trade, picking off some expensive units. Especially when kauP is sitting on basically a base is mining, but split between these 3. Very low on income. And in the next kind of minute or so, he's going to actually completely mine out of this base and his 3rd. So, not ideal for him. Nice pick off a couple of Marines there, but this is freeing up more supply. Though a considerable number of Corruptors coming through. This lower left base dying is not ideal for HaNfy. Not because he needed it for income, but it opens up another mining base as an availability for kauP, giving him that income. So starving an opponent out is fine, but you cannot ever let them take another base. If they do, then you're not starving them out anymore. You're just prolonging the game. With 33 minutes in, and 12 Broodlords are on the way, I don't really see any logical reason why HaNfy wouldn't move out with these Broodlords now. He's at 222 supply of 200 after a mass spine crawler make and cancel. He has a ginormous army and he's moving forward now. These Broodlords don't have a counter. Well, they do, they have Vikings as a counter, but they just don't exist. kauP is maxed out. He doesn't have anything more than the 1 starport, so can't quickly get them. And the Thors are not a good response to the Broodlords, especially with everything else supporting them. So slowly now HaNfy is going to be looking to close out this game. The Broodlords are actually really exposed there. That is quite a big misstep. They need to move to safety, but luckily there's just such a large number of them that they can't be shut out easily. They're moving forward. They're going to start getting those hits through. Thors aren't becoming high impact payload Thors, obviously because of the threat of the mutas, but that means there's no real damage coming through. HaNfy does need to continue on with his pressure relatively rapidly because the Viking count is going to increase. While the Mutalisks are there, he's going to want to close out this game now pretty pronto. In come the Ultras. They back away though, take some big hits. Baneling's actually getting destroyed by those Widow Mines. But now, the full-on engagement. The Banelings tumbling through. Explosions everywhere. And just looking at the supplies, this is going very well in HaNfy's favour. The mass number of Broodlords sieging through everything. Vikings are now out though. And unfortunately, a lot of the mutas have died. Oh no, actually they're coming back now. But yeah, the Mutalisks need to keep that Viking count under control. But regardless, GG from kauP, and HaNfy wins this series 2-0 and is going to be facing off against Goody in the decider game.